Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Just Another Talk. Buckle up, degenerates. Tonight, we're diving into a story so Miami, it might as well come with a Pitbull soundtrack and a DUI. Lieutenant Daniel Challa, 30 years, on the force, decorated, Miami-Dade cop finds himself at the club 11. You know, where the lights are low and the line between fantasy and felonies are razor thin. He meets a stunning woman, heavy on the air quotes, takes her home, things escalate, and then surprise, Houston, we have a pronoun problem. Roll the clip.
Tell me, what's the investigation about?
Lauren, I'm gonna have him step out. Yay or nay? Sir, can you step out for me, please?
What happened?
Step out for me, please.
Yeah.
Step out for me completely.
Yeah.
Turn this way. Face that way. What happened? Do you know the young lady that's down the hall?
Yeah.
Yes?
So what happened?
Is that a yes or a no, sir?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
No, the heavy-set woman. So there's no. What happened?
There's no what?
Okay. Okay. What is she accusing me of?
Okay. You guys met at the club, correct?
Yes.
Walk me through what happened.
Nothing.
Nothing happened?
Okay, we met. We came here, and she left my place. I asked her to leave.
Okay, so what made you bring her back to your place of residence?
Huh?
What made you bring her back to your place of residence?
We just met. We came out. We came back to my place of residence,
Okay.
and
Her voice is so annoying. That question is so stupid. What made you bring her back to your place? I don't know. Cause I wanted to smash? Like, what else would a dude want to bring a chick home for? Oh, I just want her to scratch my back. No, I just wanted to talk to her. I just wanted to get to know her. She was so beautiful and all that. Okay, maybe I shouldn't judge the cop. She's just trying to figure out what happened. Let's keep watching.
I asked her to leave.
Okay, so what made you bring her back to your place of residence?
Huh?
What made you bring her back to your place of residence?
We just met. We came out. We came back to my place of residence,
Okay.
and that's it.
And what happened inside?
Nothing.
So you guys didn't argue?
We didn't argue.
You just stated
I
that you
just
did.
kicked her out
Why did you kick her out?
because I didn't care for her.
Why didn't you care for her?
Because I didn't like her.
Okay. Did something happen inside that made
No.
you not like her
There
or
was
that made
no
you kick her
violence
off?
whatsoever.
I didn't say if
Yeah,
anything
but
led up
you
to
guys are
violence.
like-
You did.
You guys are like standing here like if I assaulted her. I did not assault her.
Okay, so until we figure out the investigation,
There was no
let me
assault.
finish. Let me finish.
Okay.
At the moment, we're conducting an investigation. So at this
Okay.
moment, my partner's going to handcuff you until we figure out
But
what
okay.
exactly transpired. I just explained to you. We're conducting an investigation.
I understand
Can
that.
you please place your hands behind?
Okay, I understand that.
Thank you.
Wow.
Turn around. Turn around. Turn around. Thank you.
Okay, but
Turn around.
What are you
Don't
guys accusing
resist.
me
Don't
of?
resist.
I never assaulted her.
Again, I'm conducting an investigation.
Okay, you can
You're not
conduct
under
an
arrest. You're
investigation.
detained at the.
First and foremost, yo, that lady cop, not only is her voice annoying, but she's mad aggressive. Let me finish. Like, relax, yo. What? The dude's already talking to you. He's drunk, clearly. He was at 11 partying. Like, it looks kind of daytime in the video. Like, it looks like they may have gotten out of 11 at 11 in the morning because it's daytime in the video, which is kind of crazy. But hey, regardless, let's really think this through, right? He invited a lady over, then he kicks her out. There were charges filed for battery. There was a witness who stated that they did see the young lady actually bleeding. So I guess it kind of makes sense that they would approach his door in that way. So this is Daniel Challa, a lieutenant for the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office. Now, this is Miami-Dade police who was called to his residence, and I don't really know the distinction between both of them besides their jurisdiction, really. But also, you can clearly tell there's some animosity between the two departments because it's rare that you see cops treating other cops like this. Now, maybe she was acting this way because it was a woman, using air quotes, of course. But at the same time, the dude's technically innocent until proven guilty. But this story doesn't end here. The plot actually thickens. And so I ended up finding a news report that I'm going to play for you guys. And I really want to know what you guys think. Roll the clip.
Sheriff's deputy, he's accused of attacking a woman that he met at a Miami nightclub. And Local 10's Annalise Garcia spoke with the deputy when he bonded out of jail and is live now with what he had to say. Annalise.
Calvin, serious and pretty aggressive allegations here. We've learned that Daniel Challa is a lieutenant with the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office. He was actually on a list to be promoted to captain.
It was a superfluous charge that was unnecessary.
Do you have anything you want to say?
Lieutenant Daniel Challa speaking moments after getting released from jail in West Miami-Dade. The 54-year-old deputy accused of battery on a woman he met at the nightclub 11 Monday around 8 p.m.
I think there's probable cause for battery.
The arrest report says Challa met a woman at the bar. They began to converse. She told police she said she was leaving when he asked her to come to his place because, quote, he lives alone.
I'm most certainly innocent of this and did not engage in any kind of battery or a rough play with her at all.
The report goes on to say that when they arrived to the apartment, things began to get intimate. The victim tells police things took a turn when Challa began to choke her. She says she asked him to stop and that she was able to get away. The lieutenant denies these allegations.
I did not squeeze that woman's neck like the way she said. It's definitely lies on her part.
A witness tells police the victim showed up at her door bleeding from her mouth, banging and screaming for help. They called 911. Miami officers arrived and took Challa into custody.
It was just a matter of her leaving my apartment when she didn't want to leave.
So the judge found no probable cause on the false imprisonment charge, but she did find probable cause on the battery charge. So that's all he's facing for now. He will have his next court date very soon for his arraignment. He also has a stay-away order from the victim, so he definitely needs to stay away from that person. As soon as we get any other updates on this story, we'll bring it to you on air and online. For now, we are...
He was considerably nervous during that interview, which I guess you can understand. He's a police officer. He understands how anything he says could be used against him. He's still denying it. He was denying it that night. He's denying it now. But the story gets a lot more interesting because his lawyer then goes on the news and says this.
Represented at all times that she was a woman, when in fact she was a man, meaning that she still had male anatomy.
Suzy Rivero Ayala, Challa's attorney, says the woman lied to the officer.
She still had what? She still had a penis? Oh my God. So hold up. So in the spirit of Pride Month, let's go ahead and break this story down. So lieutenant for the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office goes to 11. He's 54 years old, mind you, which is kind of nuts that you're partying at that age. But again, it's a free country. Do what you want, right? He is single. He meets a young lady. For all intents and purposes, she is a young lady. She must have been wearing young lady type of clothing, whatever that might be. He's clearly drunk as a skunk, as you can see from the first video. He's really still kind of coherent, but definitely drunk. He gets home. We don't know what really happens at home. All we know is that she claims he started choking her and wouldn't let her go, but somehow miraculously she gets away. Which for me, that's the first sketchy thing. Someone has you in a headlock and you get away? I don't know how that happens, but maybe, who knows? I'm gonna get canceled for this episode. I don't care. Regardless, so how do you get away from a headlock? Maybe she knows jujitsu, right? Because at one point it did say that they were starting to get intimate. So at some point in time, before he puts her in his headlock, he must have found out that she had a tool that he was not expecting to be in the shop. And therefore, he got upset, asked her to leave. She wouldn't leave. And then I don't know if he punched her, because in the reports it does say that she was bleeding from her mouth. So maybe he punched her, maybe he pushed her, she hit her head. I don't know, but this story had the craziest plot twist. And then she finally runs out of the apartment, bangs on somebody else's door, saying, help, help, help. He's trying to kill me. Call the police. And the police show up at his house. As you can see by the video, the charges were also dropped because the witness wouldn't cooperate. And I saw a lot of comments saying, oh, well, that's how Miami police handle situations. They probably just threatened her or harassed her so she wouldn't file charges or wouldn't cooperate with the DA, which I kind of find interesting because in all of the stories, that the news reported on, they completely skipped the part where he clearly thought she was a woman. They just say it was a woman. I think there was only one channel that was like, oh, a transgender woman. I don't have any problems with whatever you want to do in your personal life, or if you want to transition or not transition. But I think that this is one of those situations that's low-key messed up. You have a guy who was clearly drunk and he went to a club, thought he was talking to a girl, be a girl. He gets in trouble for that because he asked her to leave. Now, again, we don't know what happened, and I know I'm kind of leaning more towards the lieutenant side, even though I don't really want to. But in this scenario, as a guy, I kind of look at that situation and I'm like, that could have been me. Even though it wouldn't have been me, because I know I'm asking all the questions. Like, I do that now. I'm like, were you born a woman? And I don't care what nobody thinks, but I'm going to do that because I don't want to get caught in a situation like this. And rightly so, because now look at him. He was on the list to be a captain. He's probably off that list. He's humiliated in front of all his colleagues and the state of Florida. And I know his friends are having a racket with it. I know I would. I would forever make fun of him if he was my friend, telling him like, bro, how did you not detect this? Aren't you a cop? Shouldn't you notice these things where something's not right? Maybe, I don't know, the Adam's apple, maybe the knuckles. Now, let's be serious for a moment. This is a sad situation because you have a man on one side who didn't sign up for this, and you have a person on the other side, because I don't know, let's just say a transgender woman, right? Because I guess that's the best way to refer to the situation, who also didn't sign up for this. Now, I don't think anybody should be beat on or, choked or punched or any of those things because of the choices they make. But when you go from the position of not disclosing to people that you are not as you present, I think that's where the trouble arises, and that's not okay. Just like somebody who has HIV has to say, hey, I have HIV, I would like to think that people would also have that same courtesy and discernment when they're transgender. Now, I'm not trying to say that being transgender is as bad as HIV, but I'm just comparing the two because there's an actual law in the books for someone who has HIV and doesn't disclose that and then gives HIV to somebody else. I'm not saying we need a law for that because I'm also not one of those people like, hey, let's make a law for everything. Like, no. But there's got to be a way to settle this without anybody getting hurt, and especially from a man's perspective. I can understand this because I would only imagine the embarrassment this guy feels every time he goes out. Anytime anybody recognizes him, it's something that you have to live with the rest of your life, and now it impacts your career. So I'm genuinely curious if he has a countersuit against her for this. The last point I'm going to make is, ladies, transgender women, whatever you want to be called, I genuinely don't care. But if you're going to go out there and try to date men, why not date the men who are into the lifestyle that you're living? Why try to essentially finesse a guy who isn't into that? 10 times out of 10, I'm willing to bet that things are going to end up bad. And that's not me saying that I think they should. I think, they should be fought or get beat up or anything like that. But you got to understand the level of embarrassment that a guy will suffer for this coming out. And then you add liquor to that and possibly other substances. That is a cocktail for, no pun intended, but that is a cocktail for a very bad night. That is a recipe for disaster. I guess is probably a better way to say that. I'll say it here first. I think there should be some consequences for leading somebody on. Could this be some kind of SA, or could this be some kind of misdemeanor, or maybe even a felony? I don't know. I'm not extremely proficient in what it should be, it shouldn't be. It's also a level of scary that nowadays, as a man, you have to not only be worried about being perceived as a creep, also being perceived as dangerous and all these other things that men are considered nowadays that are not positive. But on top of that, now you have to worry that if you like a woman, you have to check if she's actually a woman. Like that's a lot. I don't know. I'm not trying. This is a crazy story. When I first saw this, I knew, I was like, oh, I have to talk about this. Of course, we're celebrating Pride Month, so it's a pretty good story to start off Pride Month with. I want to know what you guys think. Should this be a crime if you mislead somebody? Should this not be a crime? Do you think that maybe the lieutenant should have asked more questions and done a little bit more research? Or do you think that someone doesn't need to disclose what they are and you should find out when you find out? I want to know what you guys think. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. You already know it helps the channel and it puts it out to more people so the algorithm can pick it up. Until next time.